Hello, everyone. Welcome to the season three finale episode of the Top Cyber Pro podcast. And we've had some great guests before in this season. I mean, we've had a lot of folks from MITRE. We had John Baker, who's the director of the Center for Threat Informed Defense. We had Dr. Masters, Dr. Spina talking cloud security. We've had Ben Halpert, who is doing the Cyber Kids books and doing tremendous work in the world there. And we've had Ricardo Vargas, who is a genius in program and project management, who has an AIPM cert. But we're ending this with a great finale guest. This man is a titan in cybersecurity. And I don't say those words lightly when I say someone is a true titan, because I want to put something, anyone that's watching right now, almost everyone in cybersecurity has heard of CEH, Certified Ethical Hacker. You know, it's probably one of the first 1 to 3 certs that most cyber professionals get. So it's a globally recognized certification credential that a lot of people get in their journey into getting into cybersecurity, or even if they're entry to mid-career, get it to advance in their career. So it's a powerful, globally recognized certification. And just imagine if we had a world that this man did not exist in. Could you imagine there would be no EC Council, no CEH credential? Can you even begin to imagine that? I don't think anyone in cybersecurity could even begin to imagine a world without EC Council. And so that right there lays out how tremendous of an impact that this man has had on cybersecurity globally. And so without further ado, I introduce you our finale guest, Jay Bavisi.
Thank you so much, Jim. You have such kind words for me. I hope I live up to that. But thank you very much. It's an absolute pleasure to be here on your channel.
Well, I thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be a guest here. There's so much to dive into, and I hope that we could cover everything I'd like to dive into. But I would just want to start with this one. I know you've told this story hundreds of times in your lifetime so far, but if you would just do us the honor of sharing the story of what inspired you to start EC Council.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for asking the question. It was a very different time, right? 2001, the 9/11 attacks had happened. And it was a very different uh, uh, set of challenges that humanity faced. At that point in time, when you talked of cybersecurity, if you had an antivirus, they'd say that not bad. I mean, pretty cool, right? You guys are thinking of cybersecurity, you are ahead of the curve. If you said I had a firewall, you're gonna, whoa, that's like high tech stuff,
Super high
right?
tech,
That's
right?
that's 2001. Try telling that to someone today that oh, I've got firewall, I'm fine, right? And they were like, "Ha, you must be kidding."
You must
So
be brand new.
yeah, and believe it or not, I met during that time I met maybe around 2010 or 12, I met a national defense advisor to a country. And I was having a chat, and that gentleman said that there is no room for you for EC Council to play in this country. And I'm like, wow, why would that be the case? Obviously, you know something that I don't, because CEH was really picking up, steam around the world. And he said, because we have firewalls. So so that's the era that I'm talking about. And really, when I saw the 9/11 attacks, the team at AC Council, what we were really thinking about was, is this going to be the last attack that humanity is going to see? And we thought not really, because there are so many other challenges. We have the drug lords to worry about, we have political instability, we had activists, and we had cyber criminals. And at that time in 2001, what we basically figured out was, what happens if someone were to hack a hospital system and change drug labels? What if somebody
Yeah.
hacked an altitude meter of an airline so that they crash? What if we hack train signals causing trains to crash, right? So pretty vivid imagination for the team at AC Council. And really what we figured out was that, wow, what if a bomb went off and you send bleeding people to hospitals to get wrong treatment? Mind you, Jim, this is 2001 that I'm talking
Yes.
about, right? So we were really ahead of the curve at that point in time. And what came out was that we need to teach the good guys the skills that the bad guys have. Now, how do you do that? So when I was a kid, I used to do martial arts, and I loved kung fu and karate. I've taken all those classes when I was young, right? And I said, in cyber, we need some kind of a defense mechanism, right? What do you call somebody who is, kung fu in cyber, right? And I said, huh, ethical hacker, right? So there was, hacker was a very bad word. If you told
Yes.
somebody I'm an ethical hacker, you would not get a meeting. So I wouldn't get a meeting with DoD, in the early days, you're like, hacker, we want nothing to do with this guy, right? An ethical hacker. So sometime in early 2000, I remember this. New York Times wrote a small column about one of the dumbest ideas in the world called certified ethical hacker. And the story is that I'm pretty sure it's New York Times. I can't get the article now, but I'm pretty sure that that's what it was. And that article gave me a tremendous amount of publicity. They say all publicity is good, and it took off. And the next thing we knew, right? We were getting calls in, and that's a very different era altogether. So that's kind of the idea behind certified ethical hacker, is really that martial artist in cyber, at an era where hacker was a bad word. And I guess the team at AC Council are going credited of really bringing ethical hacking to the mainstream. At that time, in 2001, job ads, there's no way you're going to get hired as an ethical
Yep.
hacker. No way, right?
No way.
It was, it was a term coined by IBM, used in some DoD programs, but really everything we saw was network defense. So I think our call to fame was that we predicted a new world, and we were right. And fast forward 2 decades, and now, right, we are synonymous to cybersecurity. And we want to get into cybersecurity. CH is probably one of the first certs that you do. So that's kind of the short part of the story, Jim. Happy to get
Well,
into it in more.
you already kind of answered part of my second question, but what were some of the big challenges you faced in the early days of EC Council, and how did you overcome them? And it seems like, just like you said, you just kept pushing forward, and you had a vision that this would be the next phase of cybersecurity, and you was absolutely right, because I think not a day goes by where there's not another data breach, another hack of a system, and so forth. And even when you were imagining train systems being hacked, planes, we just had a new series on Netflix called Zero Day with Robert De Niro, where they're
I'm watching
talking
it.
and bringing it
I'm
to the
watching it.
mainstream. And
Yeah.
so, even though I have some technical issues with the show, the general idea, though, that Americans need to understand is that there's been a long talk about a cyber 9/11, about it, the potential for it to happen. It has not happened yet, luckily, but there's always that threat of it happening. And are we resilient enough? Are networks secure enough? Are professionals educated and trained enough to be able to address it? But back to my question, though, what was the challenges, let's say, in the first 20 years of EC Council that you've had to overcome?
Jim, I can write a book, which I will one day. I can write a book, and this hour with you would not be sufficient. But I'll give you some real ideas about the challenges we had in the early days. Right. First of all, the problem was the word hacker in the credential. Right. The first iteration of certified ethical hacker was certified hacking professional. Right. But I am an attorney by training. And the attorney in me told me that something is wrong with the name, because certified hacking professional sounds very negative, right? So how do we tell the world that these are the cyber martial
These are the
artists?
good
And that's
guys.
where these are the good guys, right?
Yeah.
That's where certified ethical hacker came up. And I think that's probably one of the most genius thing about us that we did, was that ethical hacker, because it was kind of an oxymoron, and everybody was saying, "What, ethical hacker? How can that be?" Right? What are you all about? And that kind of brought us to fame. And of course, in addition to that, we had a pretty good program that really was ahead of its time. But some of the challenges were, number one, I had never been to the US. I'm British trained. I'm a British attorney by training. Although my hobby was all IT. So I had no US visa, did not know anyone in the United States, and I set up a organization in the US. So think about that, trying to build that. And then we had this idea with the name hacker in it. Well, that was a problem. And we figured out that the largest consumers of that is probably going to be the government, because 9/11, right, was a very insecure time. So what we did was I got a secretarial service in those days. What we call as we work and type offices was called secretarial service. You basically pay $50 a month, and they'll give you a number, and then a call is the EC Council, and then if you ask a question, say, "Hi, can I ask you about ethical hacker? Yeah, can I have your number? We'll call you back," right? Because that's all they know, because they're doing it for hundreds of companies.
Mhm.
So we set that up, and one fine day, and then they will send you an email. And one fine day, what we got was a message that I got was that the FBI wants to have a chat. Now, think of someone who's not been to the US. I'm strict vegetarian, mind you, right?
Yes.
And I'm thinking, the FBI wants to speak to me. I must have broken some laws, right? Because this is post 9/11,
Yes.
right? And my program is called Hacker, right? I'm born in Malaysia and I'm sitting in a foreign land creating hackers. The FBI must have gotten me wrong, thinking this is a bad guy.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, all right, someone's just going to, zoom through my door, right, with bazookas that says you're under arrest. You have a right to remain silent. And I say, wait, they have no jurisdiction in Malaysia, right? But all right, nevertheless, I have to call back. So I call back. And the gentleman, on the other hand, the FBI, special agent, had a very calm voice, and my heart's pounding. Right, like, all right, he's about to say you're under arrest. Just step into U.S. borders, and that's it. You're gone. And I had two problems. Right, number one, am I going to be under arrest, and my entire family is going to look at me and say, "What a failure you are! We sent you to law school. You're a tax lawyer, right? You're such a bright future, and there you let it go. You mix with the wrong kids, and you're creating hackers, right? We're ashamed of you." That was my first problem. My second problem was I'm vegetarian. Do they serve vegetarian food in American prisons? Right? So what am I going to do? Right? And I say, well, nevertheless, I got to muster up courage and I got to get onto the call. And I called, and the agent had a very calm voice. Says, yes, J. Bavisi, yes, certified ethical. And my heart's pounding. I'm like, sir, can you speak faster, right? And can you get on with it? Because my heart's pounding. What did I do? And the words that come out of his mouth are, how do we get training for this program? And I'm like, excuse me? Uh, wait a minute. Oh, this is a sales call, right? This is not you're under arrest. And then FBI, ended up buying our programs, and then the Army, and then the Navy, and then the Air Force, and
Wonderful.
fast forward 20 years, we're in 174 countries worldwide, and we train all the major agencies directly, indirectly through our network of 2,000 partners, 1,000 plus colleges worldwide, and that's
What an
the talk
amazing
of
story,
challenges.
man. And
Yeah.
the world is a better and more secure place because of you and you taking those chances and coming up with a brilliant name for the credentials. So again, kudos to you for having the vision and seeing it where other people couldn't see it. So bravo. I know you've probably heard
Glory,
that a million times
glory,
from everybody, but
glory to the EC Council team. I have a phenomenal team. I've leaders that have been with me for 20 years. I've leaders with me, like, we are all in the decades with me, and I have an amazing team. So I would give full credit to the team that's behind. I'm just the show guy, the guy that gets to sit in front of you, but those are the people that really do all the hard work, Jim.
well,
Right?
that's again another testament to a great leader. You immediately direct the accolades to the team. That's actually a very good sign of a great leader there. Jay, I want to kind of pick your brain a little bit because obviously having you here in this opportunity, a lot of any executives or other leaders or people that are program managers, security managers, or just cyber professionals watching this episode right now, one of the top questions, and then again from your perspective, what are the biggest cybersecurity threats that organizations should be preparing for in 2025 and beyond?
Wow, that myriad of issues. The problem with cybersecurity really is that the pace of rapid innovation in technology is outpacing the pace of skill development in cybersecurity, right? So right now, if you take a look at the cyber criminals, they're not going high tech; they're going low tech, right? But the problem is that low tech is done with so much of precision that we are unable to, we are unable to deal with it. Like just recently, I was talking to a CISO of a mega bank, right? And we were talking about penetration testing, and we were talking about the fact that the problem with pen testing is that, number one, you have a scope, which means you cannot do, a 365 degree, a 360 degree a pen test because there's a scope, and therefore you're prioritizing areas that you think are the highest risks. Well, that's a problem. Number two, you do it at a point in time. You do it once a year, once a quarter, right? I've not seen many organizations do more than that, right? So that's a problem because a new vulnerability is discovered every 2 minutes and 7 seconds, and you do a pen test every quarter, right? So you can see right there. And number three is the skill, because you hire professionals based on their skills at a specific point in time. But then that from the time they get hired, the skill starts decaying because technology keeps evolving, right? So the one of the biggest threats that we are facing is shortage of correctly cyber trained professionals. The ability of cyber professionals to continue learning. AI is adding a tremendous amount of threat to this entire mix. We ran a CH threat report, Jim, just recently that we published on and you can get it on the Easy Council website. And I can't remember the number now, but I think 74% of them of ethical hackers who are in the front lines. These were people that were in the front lines defending Ukraine, right? In the front lines of organizations across the world, came back and said that we're seeing the kind of threats that we've never seen before, right? And we know that these are all AI based, but we have no clue how to deal with them because the good guys were never trained how to use AI correctly to defend organizations, but threat actors are already ahead of the curve. So the common problems exist. Ransomware is a major nightmare from something as basic as phishing, and phishing attacks, phishing, smishing, wishing has become so good with the use of AI, right? So these are some of the major problems. So I would say skill development is a major problem. Everyone grapples with skill development, but nobody really wants to do anything about it, right? And the reason is because they have shortage of people to begin with.
Yes.
So to train our people, we got to send them off. So that's kind of the place where we are.
Jay, I have lots of colleagues and connections in the industry, and when people, a lot of folks will call me Data from Star Trek, or they'll say the most common term I hear is multi-domain cybersecurity expert. But I don't consider myself an expert. I consider myself the term I love to say is I'm a perpetual student because, as you said, there's always new vulnerabilities, new technologies, emerging technologies, and so I usually do between 300 to 500 continuing professional education hours a year. So just
Wow.
just in January alone, I completed I think 100 plus hours on Linux Foundation. Anywhere that I see free training, I take it because I love to build my URL list of all the free trainings that in the event someone comes reaches out to me and they want to learn something new, I say, hey, I just took these trainings. Please go take them. So I'm a big fan. Like I'm a huge fan of Code Red because a couple years ago I bought one of the bundles. It was like during Christmas, and it was like 15 or 18 classes for like $1 each or $1.99. I
Right.
said, hey, that's too good of a deal. I'll buy it. But I think one of the courses was full stack Python, and I was blown away about the quality of the education being provided for like $1.99 the course.
Right.
And I'm a huge fan of Code Red. So, hey, anyone that's wanting to get some great training, the link for Code Red will be in the description below. But I love what you said about maintaining the knowledge because it's changing. The landscape's always changing. What I hate to see is a cyber professional that got their 1, 2 certifications and that's it. They grew stagnant. You should always be attending an event, a conference, reading research papers, taking the free courses. Why not? They're free. But continually educating yourself, I think, is very key. So I 110% concur with you on that. So
Thank you.
Jay, you mentioned some innovations. You mentioned AI, and what is the most interesting, or what do you think the innovation recently that's come out that you think is going to change, to shape our future? And I know you kind of mentioned AI, and I think I know what you will talk to about how like the CEH has now changed with AI. So do you mind maybe talking that, and then any other innovations you think is going to shape our future?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about AI and CH. The CH version 13 was the first ethical hacking program in the world of its kind to actually embed AI. But actually, before 13, we took it on ourselves as a cert body that we gave out free artificial intelligence programs to all of our certified members, right? Because when the CH threat report came out, we realized that this is a major problem, right? The ethical hacking community, the cyber defense community, white hat hacker community, is actually under threat very very much by the premise of AI itself. So we felt that we had a moral responsibility to protect the community, which is what we're all about.
I love that.
And that's why we gave away free, and I'm sure you'd have seen that announcement. Every EC Council cert member was given a bundle. And during that time, we were already very much ahead with Certified Ethical Hacker version 13, right? Which has got AI embedded on it. So and that's all because of the research that we came up with the CH threat report that we published some time before. So I would say that that's probably one. Now, I'll tell you something. I suspect that the role of an ethical hacker is going to change. And I have some bad news for all of those people that you described who feel that I've got a CH version 8, 9, 10, 11, and that's it. I've got it for life. I don't have to do anything. Because what I think is going to happen, Jim, is that I think AI is going to eat a lot of jobs,
Yes.
right? Especially in cyber, right? Because if you think of the ability of AI to do basic algorithms, correlation, there are a lot of things that we do and that we take for granted. Like, for example, right now, if you think of ethical hacking or pen testing, you would see that a vulnerability scan is automated, right? I mean, we've been doing it, the industry has
Yeah.
been doing it for 2 decades now. There's nothing new about that. But now with AI, we're able to do a lot more. We're able to exploit, right? And not just exploit, we're also able to ensure that there are near zero false positives. So I think a technology that I'm blown away, and you'll hear some announcements from EC Council very, very soon. Maybe your next podcast, I'll probably do a demonstration
I
for
would
you.
love to hear it.
Is let's imagine a world where I had a platform, right? Just hypothetically speaking, and I could do an automated penetration test without the use of human beings outside in. So I'm talking about external pen testing. So all I need from you is a permission. And the next thing you know, my platform is going to start going to surface web, deep web, dark web.
Yeah.
I'm able to traverse your entire network. I will do attack surface management. I'm then going to do penetration test. I'm going to do continuous automated red teaming, all with the click of just one button, just one,
Yep. And a trained
right?
LLM. Yep.
Right? Because is trained with an LLM. And what if there is an entire algorithm behind that's using AI where I'm actually being able to traverse. So I'm able to do pivoting, double pivoting. I'm able to do lateral movement. So I was talking to the CISO of a bank recently, and the CISO was telling me, yeah, Jay, we do pen testing, we do with a scope because obviously there are many areas that we think is low risks. So I said, okay, would you say that probably a pre-prod environment is probably low risk? He said, yeah, of course, it's not been published, it's not live. So yeah, we'll think so. So we ended up doing an engagement. EC Council actually has EC Council Global Services. Very few people know about this, but we have about 150 ethical hackers that actually gainfully employed full time with us, and we
Nice.
protect banks, sports, Fortune 10 companies. Um, and what ended up happening was this platform ended up getting in. We went to a pre-prod environment, and then we found a username password. Turned out to be the username password was the same password used for a production environment.
Hmm.
And then we traversed laterally, and next thing you know, we pawned the entire thing. So I think this is the new piece of technology, because what's going to happen to all of those people that say that, oh yeah, I know how to do 5 phases ethical hacking, I know how to use a scan, I'll use Nmap or I'll use Wireshark or whatever, and then I'm going to do enumeration, I'm going to do footprinting, I'm going to do exploitation, I'm going to clear the tracks, right? Everything done manually. And then here comes a platform that's able to replicate everything you do, but it does it 24/7, 365 days a year, and it
Yes.
does not require the human being. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that this technology really amazed me. And I think that what's going to happen will be the ethical hackers that are there in the market today will have to upskill themselves, because what they need to be able to do is have superior skills so that they can actually be able to complement a automated platform like this. I think within the next 5 years, the roles of ethical hackers and pen testers is going to change.
And I agree with you because on season two, I actually had Nick Shalon, who is the creator and founder of Ask Sage AI, and he talked about how he trained up his AI system to do RMF packages, risk management framework packages, and he had reached out to the government on what the cost would be to have it accredited and approved for DoD use. And I think it was like 6 to 8 months he had to wait. Plus, it was going to cost, I think, $30,000, $40,000 for that process. That's a human-driven process. He used his own AI system to accredit and to produce the artifacts and to self accredit itself for about, I think he said it was $25,000. That
Wow.
alone, that's another sector of the whole risk management or the GRC world in federal and DoD that's about to be completely upended. We're talking hundreds of thousands of professionals that will be uprooted because of AI once that becomes adopted and becomes the standard. But I agree with you, AI will replace a lot of what was considered the typical day-to-day operations aspect will easily be replaced by AI. Will we still need people? Yes. And you're right. The upskilling is going to be the key indicator because if a million people are looking for the jobs, there's only going to be 100,000 jobs and a million people looking for them. So upskilling, keeping your skills up to date, keeping your sword sharp as far as your body of knowledge so that you're at that 100,000 people you're going to be positioned to still be employed. So I think yes, AI is another thing about AI is, as you mentioned it, doing all of these scans 24/7. It's as if you took one person and you 50x that person with just one LLM. It's tremendous the amount of speed that these things work at. So I 110% agree that we're going to see a lot of disruption in IT and cyber in the next 3 to 5 years. So um,
Absolutely.
talking about CEH, and again, CEH is probably one of the most, I would say, up there with CISP. I know ISC Square, CISP is their bread and butter. EC Council CEH is that bread and butter, if you will, the most globally recognized certification. There's a lot more than just CEH. I mean, I know I have four other EC Council certs, like I have my CISO, CHFI, CTIA, which is Threat Intelligence Analyst, and ECES for those out there that are interested in encryption. That's a great certification to get. So, what are some of the other ranges of certifications you have? That you could talk about and share with us because I don't want people just when they hear EC Council go, oh, that's just CEH. No, it's not just CEH. You got a whole library of courses and certifications. So do you mind kind of talking about some of those and maybe highlight one that you feel is underappreciated?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. With that, I will, with the permission, like to share screen. I think the easiest thing to do is for me to get to the EC Council website,
Yes.
and I will be able to, to show, your viewers.
You should
Um,
be able to share. Are you able to share?
there we go. There you go. Oh, yeah,
Yes, there it
it's
goes.
there you go. There it goes. Comes up now, and here we go. Can see that?
Oh, yes, roadmap.
All right. So that's EC Council org. Now, believe it or not, Jim, I'm not sure if you know this, but EC Council actually has a fully accredited university, EC Council University, like
Yes.
ECCU. And the certifications that you get from EC Council actually qualify you to get college credit. So you can actually enhance your career while working. And one thing that I keep saying about ECCU is that the beauty why we built it online and the way we did it is because in cybersecurity, you don't want to take time off your job and
Yes.
go to school because by the time you come back, everything you learn is now outdated, right?
Yes.
And that's why EC Council University was built in the way it is, so that you can carry on doing a job and then you can take your lessons in the asynchronous world. So this is the EC Council website. I think the easiest thing for me to do would be to actually showcase the certifications roadmap, which is on our
Yes.
website,
This looks
right?
awesome.
So you could just start by saying that, okay, I've got say 1 or 2 years experience, and you could say that I want to look at job roles, and you have all of the various cybersecurity job roles that you can pick up. And let's say I say network security engineer, the site's going to automatically show you that this is a path that you can go.
I
So
like it.
these are all of the fundamental certifications, foundation courses. Now CCT, Jim, I'm not sure if you've taken this, but you should.
Okay.
This is the entry level cert of EC Council. This is where we believe that anybody with 1 or 2 years experience should actually get this cert. Now, I'm not sure if you know this, but we declared a $15 million scholarship with the White House about, I think, a couple of months ago. And the CCT scholarship is one of the certs that are part of that program. So you basically, get the entire program for free. You have to pay for proctoring and for the platform because
Mhm.
it's a very hands-on lab-intensive program. So that's only like $199, but the
Yeah.
program costs
So
a
other than
thousand
the
bucks.
proctor fee and the
Yeah,
lab fee, the
and
all
that's
the
it.
training is free. Wow.
All trains free. And we've had a lot of feedback about the CCT certification because it's really, really hands-on. And then we get to core, right, which is the defense and the attack, and that's the certified network defender and certified ethical hacker. Certified ethical hacker has two. We have a knowledge-based exam, the certified ethical hacker, and certified ethical hacker practical, which is a hands-on exam. So you actually end up doing a 6-hour exam, which is where you actually just hack your way. And if you get both of them, you are called a CH master, right? And then you get into specialization. So you have threat intelligence, pen testing,
Mhm.
right? Incident handling and so on. So I think the easiest way to do this is really pick a job role. If let's say I want to be, say, a incident responder, then we know that's the method threat intelligence, and I can just keep flipping, right? And it will
Yes.
direct you depending on where you are. So I
And so
think this is
for
a very good tool.
And I love it. I love that it's filterable. It gets you right down to the path and the roadmap. And what I would tell anyone watching this, if you go to the council roadmap and you're looking at this, the other half I would say is go to a job board, clearancejobs.com, monster.com, JICE, Hot Jobs, or LinkedIn careers, and look up these job roles and titles. Because if you're about to start your cybersecurity journey, it's always good. There's the saying that begin with the end in mind. And so if you already know what kind of titles or what subjects, are you interested in cloud? Are you interested in compliance, governance? There's so many different positions and titles here. So I would definitely recommend looking them up and seeing what the pay ranges are in your city. Because if you have children or a family, it might not be easy to move to another city, state, or country for a job. But if you're younger and you're open-minded to traveling the world, you could put your scope for anywhere in the world and look for these positions and titles and help steer your pathway to here. But here, what EC Council's done for you is with experience in the job roles, it can help hone in on. Because I get this question a lot from people like Jim. I want to go into cyber. What do I start with? It's easy to tell everybody go start with a Security Plus certification, but that's not always the pathway for everyone. I think I've talked to hundreds of cyber professionals, and each one of their stories is always different. I had some people completely from a different field. I mean, Jay mentioned he was in law. He's a lawyer, and now he's one of the biggest titans in cybersecurity there is. I'm sure when he was in law school, he did not envision doing cyber like he does today, but thank goodness he did. But there's so many stories of people that came from whether they were in nursing or they were a school teacher or any walk of career path. Cyber welcomes you all, and that's what I love about our industry. It doesn't matter what experiences we're bringing in because everybody's experiences is a different perspective into seeing the problems that maybe like someone like me that's been somewhere for so many years, I have the blinders on because I've been living with the problems. But a new person comes in and goes, "Hey, why is this like that?" And I'm like, "Oh, I never saw that." We need everybody in cyber. So I love this roadmap here. Jay, I see a lot of great certs here. Like what jumps out at me is there's a lot of real relevant, like when we talk about the last 5, 8 years of emerging threats. I see right there, I see ICS SCADA. That's really exciting to see that here in the portfolio of all of the certifications and training that EC Council provides because, Zero Day, the Netflix series, there was a lot of attacks against our ICS SCADA systems, and that's a real big threat vector right there. And I see, of course, you cover cloud. I see .NET, .Java. I see you pretty much will cover everything as I see it here on the roadmap. But what of these, and I guess goes back to my question, of this roadmap, of these certifications, what is one of them that you feel is underappreciated and that more people may want to take a look into?
So thank you very much for that question. So I'll tell you, one of the, believe it or not, the one of the most popular certifications in EC Council after CH, which do you think is our number two cert?
Your number
Just
two cert, if I had to take a
yeah.
guess, see, this is a tough one from a DoD perspective because I do a lot of work with the Department of Defense. I would say it would naturally be the oh goodness, give me a second here. I'm trying to look at all the different names there. So CH is number one. The next one would be I know that the CISO is in one of the slots in the 8570, but I think because of C&D roles, I think the CHFI the hacking forensic investigator, I believe that would be, in my opinion, the number two, but I'm welcome to be wrong.
Jim, with 30 years of experience, um, I thought even with your 30 years of experience, you will get this question wrong. I was so confident that you'll get this wrong. But there's a reason why you have 30 years of experience and why you're here, because you're absolutely correct. It is a CHFI that is so popular, and we call it the stepchild of our neighbor, because you don't see EC Council talking much about CHFI, but it's such an awesome program that anyone who
Yes.
does CH naturally takes CHFI together with it, right? They like that's almost certainly the next cert. Unless they want to be a pen tester, then they'll do a CPENT, but
CPIN.
otherwise CHFI is what they will take. But I think one of the most underappreciated cert with a very, very profound impact that's growing very rapidly for us is certified CISO. And I like to lead by telling you a story. I met, in my role as a CEO of VC Council, I meet a lot of global leaders. And I was meeting a secretary of a government, a secretary of digital, and they were announcing, an act in cybersecurity. They announced an AI center, right? They were talking about quantum computing, right? All sorts of great ideas. And I just sat and I listened, the minister talk about all of the plans, and I said, "Sir, thank you very much. I just want to ask you one question. Assuming that tomorrow morning you wake up and you realize that your critical infrastructure has been compromised, can you please tell me which button would you press where 20 cybersecurity leaders of your critical industries, your departments across the government would come up with a dashboard and tell you exactly what the problem is, what their response time is, what the risk is, how they are quantifying risk, how they are handling the incident. Can you please tell me? Because since you're talking about quantum computing, you're talking about AI centers, you're talking all that great stuff." And he looked around his deputy and he said, and I could see he was like blank, like, wow. And I said, "If with your permission, can I answer the same question I asked you?" And he said, "Sure, Jay." I said, "The answer is none. And I can tell you why. Would you like to know why?" He says, "Yes." I said, "Because you don't have that button. Because most of the government departments don't even have a role called a chief information security officer." And it just blew his mind off. But but think about that. Other than the banking, the financial industry, think outside. Think of state government, federal government. In the United States, it's different. But look at the world. We operate in 174 countries. How many departments? How many government agencies actually have a CISO? IT is the one that actually handles cybersecurity. Now, what's the problem with that? I'll tell you the problem. The problem is Chief Information Security Officer, while it's a title with a tremendous amount of pressure, because when something goes wrong, that's the head that you put on a chopping block and say, that person's fault. We're all good. Is that CISO that didn't do the job? But think about this. Would you enter into an operating theater doing surgery with this world-class doctor that's going to do a heart transplant, but have nurses and medical practitioners around the doctor who are uncertified or are not trained in the medical framework?
Yeah,
And the answer is you never do that.
yeah,
Then why
never.
is it that in a role of a CISO, all of the people that are around are never trained with the objective of the office of the CISO? So AC Council introduced the concept of the office of the CISO. We believe that while CISO is a role, everyone in the office of CISO, in fact, there is a very interesting, by the way, this is the AC Council University site.
Mhm.
Believe it or not, the master's degree was ranked top 10 in the world by Fortune. So it's an amazing program. But let me share this with you. Um, I'm just going to say AC Council or CISO. Here we go. It's in the associate CISO. So we came up with this whole concept of associate CISO, which will be, right, 1 second. Let me just go in here and go into here, right here. And let me just show you the whole concept of what we're talking about, right?
Mhm.
So if you take a look at our site, we said that when it comes to security, right here, take a look at this chart right here, right? And you'll see that we feel that in cybersecurity, a CISO has a tremendous amount of role. They got to deal with GRC, they got security operations, they got to deal with the budget, they got to maintain communications upwards, they got to maintain communications downwards to the teams in the organization, they got to do lateral communications, they got to do third-party communications, they got to deal with forensics, with compliance. I mean, I can go on and on and on.
Mhm.
And yet, the person that does this is one individual called a CISO, right? And that's what a certified CISO is all about, right? And that's why people with a CISSP end up doing a CC. So people that are aspiring would end up doing this too, because this teaches you how to run the office of the CISO, how to lead, right? How do you deal with budgetary requirements? How do you do program management? How do you do project management? How do you do communications? How do you do security architecture? How do you think about risk management? It talks about all of that. But we came up with a program called Associate CISO. It's meant for people with 2 years of experience and above in cyber to get them ready to take a role in the office of the CISO, just like the office of the President of the United States, right? This is the office of the CISO. So I think that's probably one of the most underrepresented, misunderstood, and one of our fastest growing certs as well globally right now. because it really matches. We create the certified CISO, people with 5 years of experience across 5 domains, and associate CISO, people with 2 years of experience across 5 domains. And the associate CISO plugs in beautifully in the office of CISO. So if you are a pen tester, you got to do an associate CISO because you understand the language of the CISO and the office of the CISO. If you are a architecture person, you take associate CISO. If you are a compliance person, you take associate CISO. So
And
that
Jay,
I hope
I
that
can
answers the question.
personally vouch for the CISO myself because I was one of the first 100 invited to the program by Amber,
Wow,
years
wow.
and years ago. And I'm one of the, I guess, the first 100 grandfathered into the program. It's an excellent credential, highly vouch for it. I think it excels like other credentials that I could throw that are not quite near CISO, but they're close. The closest I could say that I know about in industry would be the GSLC from GIAC, aka SANS, which is the GIAC Security Leadership Certification. But even then, it doesn't cover all of the different knowledge base areas that your credential for CISO covers, because it definitely covers the full management, and even from the operations to the executive operations, it covers it very thoroughly. So.
Yeah, and incidentally, how much did you pay for your
Oh,
GAIAC
I
cert?
think since I was one of the first 100, it was an invitation, and I think I had no cost other than the yearly. I don't know if it's 100,
Yeah,
200. It's a very low yearly
you're the
maintenance
lucky
fee.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the one thing the AC Council believes in is democratizing cybersecurity education. So if you take a look at all of our pricing, we make sure that our pricing is extremely fair and affordable for the larger population because we operate across 174 countries. So we don't have a one size fit all. We have a price based on regions, and we try to make
Excellent.
it for a fraction of cost, to the user.
What Jay just said there by adjusting the price per region is a powerful statement because cybersecurity education should be accessible by all. And that's a great man right there. He could have kept one price for everybody, which would from a socioeconomical for certain regions would have just eliminated their ability to access this great training. So by adjusting the prices by region, man, kudos to you for doing that because it's not about making, I mean, everybody wants to make money for their time and deliver quality services and training. But the bottom line is that there's some providers out there, I'm not going to name names, but there's some providers out there that has a high cost of entry into their certification library, if you will. And some of these vendors out there will start at $1,000 just for an exam. And then if you fail, you got to pay another 1,000 and wait so much time. And then just to get their training is several thousands of dollars. It's priced beyond the average, if we're just talking Americans, spending $1,000 to $4,000 is not an easy spend for a lot of Americans. So when you see EC Council that they're having like $299, $499, $599, $699, usually up to I think the high is around seven. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, but it's not over $1,000 for an exam voucher. And usually a lot of times they bundle it with a very attractive training plus some downloadable content and access with your voucher. And in some cases they even bundle in a retake voucher because a lot of folks out there they're super nervous and anxious when they're taking the first test. And EC Council and as well as other certification organizations out there realize that, and they want to kind of give you that peace of mind. So I'm not sure if EC Council does the retake bundle, but I know other vendors do. But what I will definitely say about EC Council is I have 5 of their certifications. They were all extremely affordable, does not hurt the pocketbook, and again, supreme superior content. Because again, from code red to the actual bodies of knowledge for like the ones I have, like the threat intelligence analyst credential is a great credential that every threat intelligence person should get. I believe when I did my research in it, it's in the top 5 recommended threat intelligence analyst certifications anyway. I think it was number 2. And then when it comes to encryption specialists, ECES, not a lot of people in the world know about that one. But you know what? If you are working in the realm of doing crypto analysis or just interested in the future of quantum computing, ECES is a good foundational to intermediate level certification, and I'm just waiting to see what the future that EC Council does in regards to quantum computing certifications. I'm sure there's something in the horizon for that. Um, Jay, we could talk forever about education, and I want to give you an opportunity to maybe talk about a little bit about what you have on your screen, but I do want to eventually ask, I got to ask you, what motivates or currently motivates you? Are there individuals in industry that you admire because you're already a titan, but is there anyone in industry that say, you know what? For years, I've looked up to this person. They've been a mentor to me, or they didn't know they were being a mentor to me, but I've watched this person and what they've done. They've inspired me. Who motivates you? What motivates you? What inspires you? What drives you?
Thank you very much for asking the question, Jim. Look, I truly believe I was trained. The way I was raised was that find what's good in every individual, because every individual has some good. And a human tendency tends to be, when you see an individual, you normally try to find what's negative, right? And you always say, oh, this person is quite rude, or the person is quite arrogant, but actually they might have nine other positive traits. So there isn't any one person. I'm influenced by the entire community. There's so many people out there with so many great things. I don't want to pick any one, and any one individual. Uh, everybody has something good in them, and I get to learn from different people. My competitors inspire me a lot, because they inspire me to wake up every day and do better. But I'll tell you two things that inspire me the most. One is and many people don't understand this, but when you build something like Easy Counsel and you get anonymous letters in an email world, a physical mail, you get a veteran sending you a challenge coin and saying, you transform my life and I thank you, here's a challenge coin for you.
I
you
love that.
get a you get an NYPD officer write a special card, handwritten, with a challenge coin and saying that you don't understand the impact you have on my family, right? I did your cert, and today, here I am. When you get letters from people saying, I'm the very first person in my family that was actually educated, and with your certifications today, I am, leading cybersecurity. It's such a drug, Jim, that you realize that the work that you started, and which my team has executed so well and taken to this whole level, it's so impactful to so many people across so many countries. So I think that's one. Two is when you walk into organizations, and we meet defense teams of different countries all the time, and they talk about how our training has helped the country remain secure. Critical infrastructure. Think about countries that their SCADA systems will come down, or power grid comes down, and people would die. Or
Yes.
hospitals get attacked. It's because of the cybersecurity community that entrusted their training with us, and then now they're gainfully employed. We're actually helping the world be a better place. But above all of that, the one icon that I admire the most is my mother. I grew up with very, very humble beginnings. I Very few people know that I did not have a bed to sleep on until the age of 15. I slept on the floor all my life. The first time I slept on a bed that was mine, I was 15 years old. I lived in a house that was 450 square feet for six of us. And there was only room for, two beds, and me, my mom, and my dad will sleep on the floor in the hall by laying out a carpet, and then in the evening we'll roll that out, and that becomes a hall. At night, that becomes our bedroom, right? I'm the youngest of four, so I think my mom, being 83 years old, and today at 83 years old, she's still actively cooking. She's all about service to the community. She's all about the poor.
Mhm.
The charities that she does is mind blowing. So I think that's my hero. That's my icon. That's my
Oh, I
everything.
absolutely love that. When you're sharing your story of sleeping on the floor, a lot of people on the internet don't know a lot about my personal story, but what I will share with you, Jay, is I grew up in foster care in central Louisiana. And, the statistics about foster children, making something of themselves or their careers, there's not many of us that succeed, but especially from Louisiana. And before I
Wow.
went into foster care, me and my two sisters, we also slept on the floor. We had no bed as a mattress. There were times
Wow.
where our father was gone, we were taken from our mother. But the short of it was, there were times where we would only have one hot dog in the refrigerator. We'd boil it and then we'd cut it into three pieces to eat, and we'd go a whole weekend just eating only that and drinking the hot dog water. I know that sounds
Oh
like
my
real gross
God.
to a lot of people listening, but when you mentioned sleeping on the floor, it reminded me of my childhood sleeping on the floor. And even to this day, I'm almost 50, but there's part of me that once in a great while, and I don't know, Jay, if you could identify with this, but I will lay on the floor just
Me
for a
too.
few minutes. And I don't
Me
know what it
too.
is, but it's a very peaceful thing for me to do.
It
And even
is.
at my age, I'll just lay on the floor and I'll sleep maybe for 20 minutes, but I won't sleep overnight. But I still do that from time to time. So thank you for sharing that, Jay. That is a powerful. I love the fact that your mother is doing well and giving to the community. That's amazing. I did interrupt you. Did you want to speak about this version 13 of CEH real quick? Because I do have some more questions, but I know we
Yeah,
want to
no.
your time.
Yeah, no, I mean, Sage version 13, it took us close to a year to rebuild this and to have an AI powered version 13 certified ethical hacker, right? And our mission is to ensure we empower the ethical hackers to be able to be gainfully employed. Like right now, if you send to an employer, right, and if you say, yeah, I've got some skills, you know, and the employers today are looking for people that actually understand AI and they know how to implement AI because that's the adversary. AI is being weaponized. So Certified Ethical Hacker version 13 can absolutely help you get there. And our dream is that this will actually help people be gainfully employed and help to do good and help organizations to defend themselves even more.
Excellent. Jay, if you have a moment, we'll turn off the screen share for a second, and so
Oh,
that we could be back on the screen.
all right, let's do that. Here we go. All right.
Oh, so I like to take a moment. It's called kind of my speed round of questions. It's what I call my moment of levity because we're talking cyber training, education, which is great. It's great topics. That's why we're here. But I like to take a break just to kind of do some rapid fire questions. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just purely for fun. And if you humor me, uh,
All right.
fire away. First question is cake or pie?
Cake.
What kind of cake?
Tiramisu.
Tiramisu. Oh, nice.
Tiramisu,
Uh,
yeah.
this one's gonna split the room. Okay, so we got Star
Oh,
Wars or Star Trek.
none of the above. I'll tell you, it's very embarrassing. I
Uh-huh.
haven't seen either.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I had a very pretty rough childhood, and somewhere I just grew up and I missed that entire era. So none of the above. I can't tell you the difference between Star Wars or Star Trek. It's embarrassing, but it's the truth.
Okay, do you at least know who Darth Vader is?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
could go there.
Exactly.
Next question, is a hot dog a sandwich?
None. I'm vegetarian. So if it's a
Vegetarian, so
vegetarian
it's
sandwich,
not a
then yeah,
yeah, good
vegetarian
answers.
sandwich. There you
Okay,
go.
what has been your most favorite book you've read of all time, and what is the last book you've read?
Elris or Jack Trout is the author of a book called Focus. It's a very old book. I think it's the best book ever. It talks about the importance of focus in business. They are marketing gurus that are talking in a marketing context, but it's an amazing book. I still have a copy of the book in my office. It's probably one of my all-time favorites. And Elris and Jack Trout are like global gurus of marketing in their era. And I would say that I mean there's so many books. There's a book by Pete Thiel, that was just recently published. Can't remember the title now, but I think that's probably the last book that I read.
Okay. Well, whenever you can, if you could just get those links sent to me for those books, I'll definitely put them in the
Sure,
description for anyone else that's interested in reading those.
sure.
Um, so, is there any new EC Council initiatives or other programs other than the certifications themselves? Is there a new initiative? You know, you mentioned the CT cert with the White House having a participation with the White House, but are there other new upcoming initiatives that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, actually, we are going to be announcing. Well, this is the first time I'm going on public and sharing, but on the 17th of March, we are announcing Certified Penetration Tester version 2, which is AI.
Oh,
So
so
we
now
have
we're having
embedded
another
AI,
AI enabled certification. I love it.
another AI enabled certification. This will be pen testing, right? Which is going to be announced like in a couple of weeks. So that's going to be our new initiative. Our White House cybersecurity scholarship is still not utilized fully, so that is still available. I think the book, by the way, the book by Peter Thiel was 0 to 1.
Zero to
Even
one.
not wrong, you can go look it up. So yeah, so we still have the scholarship that's still available. And your listeners can actually apply for that. And certified pen testing AI that's coming up, and we're really excited about that. One of the another one comes up, which actually we just announced yesterday, and I think you're gonna love this. Um, we launched HackerVerse CTF,
Oh,
and
the
we
capture the flag event.
announced and we announced $100,000 in prizes. This is a monthly event that we're going to run. We have $100,000 in prizes. You can take cash or kind, so there are different tiers, and we are running every month we are running a capture the flag event, free for anyone across the world to
Wow.
play, free, completely free, right? You don't have to pay us a dime out of it, and come and play. And we are doing, from basic CTFs to really advanced stuff, right?
Wow.
Reverse engineering, right? And all sorts of good stuff. So that's HackerVerse CTF that EC Council has just announced. So I would say that's another initiative that we're really excited about.
Well, I'm definitely gonna, don't have to Google it, folks. It's in the description below. But just hearing this, doing a CTF with $100,000 monthly CTF, it takes staff, it takes systems, it takes money just to keep that operation going month to month, plus the prize money on top of that. And that's just a testament to how great of a cybersecurity leader and a thought leader. And just again, I said earlier, he's a titan in the industry, and that's just another example of why he's a titan in the industry is doing a CTF program like that with cash prizes that people can do for learning. Look at that. He's paying people to learn. Not many people do that. Not many people have that level of generosity or giving back to industry. And that's why I'm sure this man has a whole book, several bookshelves and rooms of accolades and awards and medals and coins and things from all kinds of folks and organizations around the world. But he is truly tremendous for doing that. Jay, I know we could talk forever, but I do want to respect your time. I do like to give all my guests the final word. So if you had, anything to say to from the executive to the entry level person, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jim. I just want to thank the team at EC Council, like the Hacker CDF once again. I mean, so many people put in so much of effort. $100,000 in annual prize. Every month we are giving out. I can't remember exactly how much, but people actually win, and you can actually get cash if you want. If that's what you want, then that's what you get.
Mhm.
So my final word would be number one, thanks to my amazing team, for being there with EC Council, helping us. Thank you, right, for doing the great work that you're doing, the lives that you impact, and we impact one life a day, and we make this world a safer place. My last word to the cybersecurity community is keep learning. We cannot afford to just sit there and say, oh yeah, once upon a time I learned cyber defense and I'm good enough. We're not good enough. We have to keep learning every day. We have to be better tomorrow than we are today. And those are my final words, Jim. And it's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you so
Well,
much.
Jay, we're tremendously honored to have you as our finale, our season three finale. Folks, thanks for being here with us for this season of the Top Cyber Pro podcast. Again, we've had tremendous guests, and we've ended it with the biggest guest of all, a man that has had a global impact. And not just an impact right now. His impact of EC Council will impact generations and generations to come. Because as I said in the beginning of this video, imagine a world without EC Council. And I bet no one out there could do that because we don't want to imagine a world without EC Council. So again, thank you, Jay, to you and your team and your corporation for doing tremendous work and constantly giving back to industry, constantly innovating and leading the way in certifications because you are on the forefront of it. And I love everything that you guys are doing. I'm a huge fan, and I will always be a perpetual student. I'm always ready to learn more from EC Council. So again, thanks for being a guest, and thank you for watching this podcast. Please check out the links below. I'll have the books that Jay's talked about, all the links to things like Code Red, the link to certification roadmap. All of that is in the description below. Please spend some time and review it because, again, great training. And there's so many pathways to get into cybersecurity, and EC Council is a great set of multiple pathways per their roadmap to get into cybersecurity. So, again, thank you all. And that has been season three of the Top Cyber Pro podcast. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Jim. Take care. Bye bye.